everybody, it's Kayla back again with more Bad Fanfiction Theater, and we have a guest.
Hi, it's Hushicho.
We're back together, yay! And this time
Finally.
we don't have to be in the same place to record.
I'm so glad. I mean, it's so nice to be able to do this, and I mean, now we'll actually be able to involve other people that don't have to be within our geographical area.
Yeah, because I know, Hork.
Hawk, eh? I'm sure he'll appreciate that nickname. Hawk. Oh dear.
I'm sorry, Hawk.
We've had a little difficulty this afternoon, so
Yeah, for some reason, what I usually use to record the calls didn't want to work right. When it would detect the call, it would just immediately end the recording session. And I'm just like, it didn't record anything. So then I spent like an hour trying to re-download various versions of it. And then I had to look for alternate versions of Skype recorders. And then finally I found one that seems to work well. But then I had to fiddle with its settings until I got it to hear me without me sounding like a robot. Also, me sounding way too loud. But that's normal with these videos, and that's something I always have to edit. But aside from that, before we get into the story, we have a small thing to talk about, don't we, Hushicho? You forgot, didn't you?
I forgot.
I apparently got a message from the author of Star Turds. And of course, my first thought was, I guess maybe he's not a troll, and he's probably mad that I reviewed his story or something. But no, he's entirely cool with it. He's like, yeah, it's a horrible story. I wrote it for like shits and giggles. And I'm like, well, I kind of had a feeling you did. The more surprising thing is that he actually has it up on Amazon, and if you pay $1 for it, your $1 goes to charity. Also, yours truly, if you look in the comments for the story, you know how they put little, like the book blurbs on the website, so you can see what other authors say about the story, and usually it's bullshit about how this story is so great, I couldn't stop reading it. Well, you'll see my blurb that he quoted the Care Bears thing. And he also put a link to the show. So thank you for that, sir.
Yes, that.
I appreciate it. Your
that.
story was shit, though.
Literally.
Quite literally. It was so bad we gave it its own nickname, and then talked about doing an award show where we give people golden star turds.
Yeah, we still need to do that. I think we should definitely do that. But yeah, that just blew my mind because it so rarely happens that. I think he's the first one, the first writer.
Yeah, he's the first author I've really known of to, be like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
I wrote that. It was crap.
Yeah, that was it, but it was so surreal. It was so odd that he would be the one,
Yeah, I know. Like, of all of the people and all the stories.
I mean, Star Turds was like the absolute nadir before we hit My Inner Life. That was like the low point of all that we've read.
It stayed with us for a long, long time.
Yeah, I mean, it was only unseated by My Inner Life, and My Inner Life was an interminable torture.
Yeah.
It was horrible. It was a curse.
I would read Star Turds again long before I even picked up MIL again.
Oh, man.
And I never would pick up MIL again. So yeah, if you haven't listened to the Star Turds story, you can. I can link the playlist and also his link to the thing on Amazon down in the description below. So that's a thing.
Yeah, it's the actual story is called Star Wars: A New Hope. So.
Yeah, but since we refer to it as Star Turds like all the time, I even have it labeled as Star Turds.
Oh, good.
Because I originally had it listed under its actual title, but somebody messaged me and they're like, did you have to delete the Star Turd story? Because I can't find it. And I'm like, is it not there? And I looked at it and I'm like, Yeah, it's there. There's a playlist. It's 2 videos, and I gave them the link. They're like, oh, it's not actually called Star Turds. I'm like, oh, that's what the confusion was. I'm like, oh no, we call it Star Turds for, well, you'll find out. And then they're like, yeah, I see why it's Star Turds now. And so I just renamed the playlist Star Turds.
That's a good idea.
So that way people know that that's the, yeah.
Yeah, that's the legendary Star Turd story.
That's the story that occupied the worst story before MIL.
Yeah, the horror that is my inner life, the very real horror.
Let's just say if you don't like poop, stay away from that story. But if you think you can handle it, go check it out, because that really was the first really bad story we ever did.
Yeah, I mean, most of the others we could laugh through or make jokes or whatever. By the end of that, we were just like, this needs to end right now.
So yeah, check out Star Turds, donate to charity, and all that good stuff.
Hurrah!
Now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about this story. See, before we had anything to do with my inner life, we were doing stories on Topless Robot's top 10 worst stories they've ever read and reviewed. Star Turds was number 10 on that list. This story, Root Her, is about number 8 or 7 or something like that. So this is ranked higher than Star Turds.
Yeah, of course we kind of gave up on that list after a while because the site was so obnoxious itself, but...
Well, that, and also I kind of felt maybe we were doing too many stories from that site, and plus I'd also got so many recommendations and submissions that I felt it was more important to do those than just whatever I felt like from somebody else's list.
Yeah.
So for all intents and purposes, neither of us know anything about this story. The only thing I know about this story is that either humans or dinosaurs explode. It might be both.
And it's brought to us by the very well-known philanthropic organization, the International Jurassic Park Erotic Fanfiction Writers Association.
Yes. Because, yeah, I have no comeback to that. I haven't found any other versions of this story, but there are probably copies and mistings of it done in other places, but this is a clean copy, as I always try to do. On JamesLeffer.com, we are reading Root Her by Michael Collins, a Jurassic Park fanfiction. If you want to follow along, you can find a link in the description down below. So, let's begin. Robert Muldoon, or Muldoon?
Muldoon, yeah.
Okay. Was not a man to be trifled with. Oh no. He's some kind of badass.
Too bad, I like trifle.
For years, he had plied his trade as a big game hunter in Kenya, utilizing every scrap of his savage cunning, because it's quite savage,
yes,
and imposing physical frame, as well as his arsenal of highly explosive weaponry. Well, I guess we know how somebody blows up later.
Yeah.
To outsmart, outmaneuver, and out-explode some of the mightiest and most dangerous creatures known to nature.
Wait, out-explode? That implies that there are creatures in nature that are going to explode things.
And he can out-explode them.
Yeah, it seems like that would be a terminal pastime.
Oh, he's a creeper! He's a creeper! He was normally as patient as a stone, and would spend hours, even days at a time, rooted to the spot, silently waiting for his quarry to show up so that he could decorate his lion skull cabin. What?
Huh?
His lion skull cabin with more lion skulls.
How do you build a cabin out of any kind of skull?
Stack them on top of each other and use hot glue or something?
That seems like that would be a very drafty sort of cabin.
Well, maybe if you put enough, small animal skulls in between them.
That's horrifying. What is it? It's some sort of a...
It's something that we live in hell. I would be immensely sad, but at the same time, I'd be like, I want to live in that house. Because I like cats. But I would also be immensely sad that all those lions had to pass away so I would have a house. Nonetheless, today his patience was wearing thin. It's this bloody island, he thought to himself. I don't know where the accent came from.
What was that supposed to be?
I don't know. I don't know. He thought to himself, ever since he'd accepted the job at Engine, working at their new tourist attraction, he'd been effectively confined to the role of construction overseer, an occupation wholly at odds with his hands-on, heads-off personality, and he couldn't deny he was beginning to feel restless.
Just as he was contemplating a change of career, his self-reflection was cut off by a loud metallic clang as the final pylon was hauled into place atop the heavy-duty maximum security enclosure being erected behind him, reminding him that it had been a long, long time since he'd had an erection oh, wow. Actually, funny that, because the sentence actually goes on.
Yes.
It had been a long, long time since he'd been involved in erections of a more personal nature.
I don't know why you would be thinking about that as you're building something, but okay.
Absently, he adjusted his crotch as he picked up his radio and signaled...
Wait, you got turned on by them finishing construction.
Well, you know, big balls and everything. Adjusted his crotch as he picked up his radio and signaled to the foreman that the enclosure was ready for its occupants. Hoisting himself up onto a platform above the solid metal gate, he looked out over the large tropical forest surrounding him and began to wait for the transport cage to arrive. The forest itself was of the lush green palm variety normally associated with small islands located off the coast of Costa Rica. That's very specific. Could you not just say a tropical jungle?
I guess not. I'm like, I can't think of a comeback. I've kind of gotten rusty.
I don't know. We got ossuaries here. We've got whatever. Anyway, and we're superbly lit by a completely dark night sky. Almost. Wait, what?
What? How is that lit if it's dark? Are you?
Yeah. I guess it was blacklight.
The stars, if you missed it, don't put off a lot of light.
Superbly lit, darling. Almost as if some celestial lighting assistant had...
So you mean an angel? She brought a flashlight?
Maybe some Klieg lights and, some spotlights around. Almost as if some celestial lighting assistant had had a hand in it somehow.
Hola, Senor Muldoon. One of the workers called up to him as they passed by. Muldoon peered at him, trying to make out who it was. I thought it was, superbly lit at night. So shouldn't you be able to see well? Oh yes, he thought as recognition set in. That'll be young Joffrey. Wait, he said this out loud to himself?
I think he's supposed to be thinking that, which doesn't technically need quotes.
No, it should be italic or have like the single quote, not double quote.
Well, actually, you can just put it. You can put it without any quotes.
Well, yeah, the way this is, you could just leave it as is, but whatever. Joffrey was one of the few men on the island who never really got credited for anything. One of those men that Engine CEO John Hammond constantly referred to as our delightfully expendable workforce.
Oh, douche.
Yeah, really. Muldoon nodded curtly to the young I keep wanting to say Goffrey instead for some... Joffrey.
Is he Gothic?
No, he's totally not Gothic. Joffrey, making sure to maintain eye contact for slightly longer, not larger, was socially acceptable. So what, are you trying to ask him out? Are you going to party with this guy behind your lion skull hut?
And your charming ossuary cabin.
Yes. Joffrey smiled back. What? Coquettishly? Coquettishly.
Although, I don't know why he would smile coquettishly, because... never mind. It's not important. It seems a very odd adverb.
Okay. I still don't know what it means, but okay. And gave him an almost effeminate wink. How? Winking is not masculine or effeminate.
Yeah, I'm not sure how a wink would be effeminate unless he was just like doing a sexy pose with it and leaning over and going, mm-hmm.
Yes, darling.
Wait a minute. I say that all the time. Exactly what are you implying?
I want to read that as whipping his mouth, but I think that's supposed to be wiping.
Yeah, no, the whipping will come later.
Oh my. Wiping his mouth slightly, Muldoon once more adjusted himself. I'm assuming you mean his crotch, but okay. And went back to surveying the surrounding area, trying very, very hard not to think about how long it had been since he'd given his rifle a good cocking. Okay, sir. Just no. No.
Yeah.
No.
The double entendre is strong with this one. After what seemed like an eternity atop the platform, but was really only a couple of seconds, give or take a second or two, so maybe it was like 0 seconds?
Negative seconds.
Negative seconds. A mighty roar sounded out across the acres of thickly carpeted wilderness. One by one in the distance, trees began to crash to the floor as if some massive reptilian behemoth were charging towards them, which is obviously the case. You know what's going to happen. You know where you are. Obviously it's a giant dinosaur.
Yep.
About bloody time, Muldoon thought to himself as the bulldozer finally emerged from the overgrowth, pushing a large steel box before it. I guess it was a bulldozer. That surprised me.
Yeah, because that makes sense in a story where dinosaurs are very key to the plot,
Yeah.
but okay.
Yeah, build it up so that we expect a dinosaur, but immediately prove that it's a bulldozer, thereby eliminating any messy build-up of tension or anything like that. As the bulldozer pulled up to the side... Oh, no, wait, no. Quickly, he motioned to the other workers to help him get the enclosure door open. The bulldozer pulled up to the side and lowered the crate with a loud thump. All right now, he shouted. Pushers move in. Pushers move in? Are they going to sell them drugs?
Yes.
Is this going to be like an after-school special?
The Raptors are actually drug dealers and pimps.
So it's like, yeah, it's a very special episode of Jurassic Park porn.
Yes.
Tonight on a very special episode, Jurassic Park Erotic Fanfiction Writers Association, Router, the story that will have your family talking honestly about real issues that are faced in the real world, talking openly, honestly, bringing them closer together. Watch it with your family. Router, tonight. You're so quiet.
I'm trying to think of something to say, and I'm like, well, I am not able to come up with jokes right now.
It's all right. Well, you've been nutsing for like 2 hours with the damn program, so I'm sure that you're kind of...
I'm just like, what more could I add to this stunning TV program that Hushicho came up with?
Loading team, move it. Come on.
Load it. The movement of the crate, however, had clearly angered its occupant. A mighty shriek and a series of loud, high-pitched roars emanated from the slats on either side of the crate, as a large, yellowish, and distinctly non-human eye peered out menacingly. The creature snapped and growled, and began to hurl itself against the side of the cage, startling the workers, who retreated back a few steps. Now this, Muldoon reflected, this was more like it. Angry, dangerous animals wanting... What?
I love the way you say this. Sunday.
See Raptor, smoke pot, and hang out with hookers.
Dinosaur hookers at the Civic Arena. Tickets on sale at
Ticketmaster. Can you just imagine, like, Raptor hookers, how they would be dressed. They got like the
imagine.
little short mini skirts.
Yeah,
They're
I'm
smoking
imagining these little-
cigarettes. Like I got fake wigs on and
these little
lipstick
feather
smeared all
boas.
over their jaws.
They've got these little
They're wearing like these huge high heels with their little claws sticking out.
feather boas, and they've got like fishnets up their legs, and
And a little purse that they have
yeah,
on
a
their
little
arm.
purse on their tiny little arm. I think it would be funnier if it were like Tyrannosauruses, though. Yeah, like really tiny little arms, little tiny little handbag and giant legs.
I look pretty.
I'm so pretty.
and it's just standing there. And it's just. That'd be the best thing ever.
Oh my god, I'm gonna draw that.
Oh yes, please. It's just standing there looking blankly at the camera, and it's got makeup smeared on, lipstick smeared on its mouth, and wearing eyeshadow and a fake wig, and it's just, I look pretty.
I'm so pretty.
Angry, dangerous animals wanting nothing more than to tear him apart. This was the kind of job he could get his teeth into. Whether it was due to the previous...
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
There's this mental image of. Okay, I'm gonna calm down.
Okay, I'm gonna keep reading.
Okay.
Okay. This was the kind of job he could get his teeth into, whether it was due to the previous 6 months or so of utter boredom, or whether it was some other dark impulse, moon, whatever the fuck his name is, never knew. But almost without thinking, he covertly loosened the bolts on the door to the cage, taking great care to ensure no one saw him do so, endangering the lives of many.
Yes, everybody, including himself.
Yes.
All right, steady, he said to the other workers. Get back in there now. Push! Get back in there. Don't let her know you're afraid. Can I just go on?
Yeah.
Okay. Gingerly, the other workers approached... Oh, thinking again. Gingerly, the other workers approached the cage and with great effort managed to push it up against the open slot on the other side of the enclosure. As it thudded against...
Wait. Do you see like this giant, like, where like he accidentally pressed enter or something and went to the next line?
Yeah.
Okay. So it really should read, push it up against... Okay. Continue.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't sure if you
It's
were
okay.
The open slot on the side of the enclosure. As it thudded against the side, a green light flicked on, indicating that contact had been made. Oh, how Muldoon longed for contact. Dude, it's not all about your dick.
Apparently
Get over
is.
it. Go somewhere and jerk off. For God's sake, you're endangering other people's lives because you've got a hard-on. Come on.
For either fucking something or murdering something, maybe both, considering the story we're reading.
Yeah, I mean, there's something seriously wrong here. You need to kind of clean the pipes a little bit so that your brain isn't addled. He smiled to himself. As long as the bolts on that cage door were secure, no amount of throwing itself against the side...
But you loosened them.
Yeah. No amount of throwing itself against the side would allow the animal to escape. Quickly, he checked to make sure they were sufficiently loose. And
You're a dick.
nobody saw him do this. Like, they didn't see him do it before, but wouldn't it be kind of suspicious to go around checking and unwinding them? Couldn't anybody who's there see this? Well locked, he cried. Loading team, step away. Joffrey, raise the gate.
Quickly, Joffrey clambered on top of the cage and began to do as he was told. He knew all too well what manner of creature they were dealing with, and he didn't want to waste any time getting it securely behind those 12-foot thick concrete walls lined with high-voltage electric fences. As he leaned forward to grab the gate release, there we go, I got the word out. However, the creature made its move. With a loud shriek, it flew itself against the panel next to the bolts Muldoon had loosened, ripping the door from its hinges and knocking the cage back, sending Joffrey crashing onto the unforgiving jungle floor below, and jarring every bone in his body. Howling in triumph. I fail at words today.
It's
I
all
swear.
right. We understand.
The creature shot out a brown, scaly limb and sunk a vicious, saber-like claw into the workman's fleshy ankle, tearing through the muscle and bone and locking itself firmly in place. Joffrey screamed at the top of his lungs, for good reason, as he was dragged forcefully back inside the cage, powerless to resist the creature's superior strength.
Muldoon suppressed an excited grin as he immediately began to shout instructions to the panic-stricken
Why,
construction.
you are such an asshole.
Yeah, what
I
a
didn't
piece
give a
of
shit
shit.
about that guy.
Also, why is a construction crew there? Why aren't animal handlers there? There should be more than one person that can handle these creatures. It should not be a construction crew handling this transfer. Tasers, get in there, goddammit, you there. He motioned to one dumbstruck engineer. What is an engineer doing out there?
I don't know.
What is an engineer doing out there? Bring me 4 trank rifles, a vial of nerve toxins, and a camera, goddammit, again.
Nerve toxin?
And
Why
make sure
would
it's a
you-
bloody video camera this time. What? Whatever.
To record his negligence, I guess?
I guess.
Or maybe he's gonna watch him doing dinos later. I figured he was going to respond to that comment, so I was waiting.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I thought it sort of deserved to stand on its own.
Okay, my bad. Joffrey howled in terror as his efforts to stay put failed. Unable to break the creature's hold, he cracked his head brutally against the side of the cage and lost all ability to resist as his senses became groggy. A rank odor of decaying meat and feces lined the air of the cage, and it was all.
Again.
Yeah, I know. And it was all he could do to suppress his gag reflex. The way his gym teacher had taught him.
What? This is an odd development. It seems like an arbitrary.
Wait, so you fucked your gym teacher by sucking him off? I guess.
Either
That's what we're implying.
that or like his gym teacher was running a gym that was really stinky or something. Like what? What? This is an odd thing to bring up that raises many more questions than it should.
As his head cleared slightly, he was able to make out the dreadful beast which had just snared him. Standing almost 8 feet high, with molted brown and green skin and rows of curved, serrated teeth, was Velociraptor Antiropus? Yeah, I fail at saying that.
Antiropus? I don't know, actually.
A killing machine of almost unsurpassed intelligence. Lethally and sexual
Lethality.
What?
Lethality. Deadliness.
Yeah,
But the sexual appetite thing I'm questioning a bit.
yeah, I was just like, well, how would you know it has a sexual appetite? I'm confused. Its long forearms ended in 5 muscular digits. Wait. Oh, okay, we're talking about its claws now. I was confused for a minute more. Each sporting an intimidating-looking claw. It leered at him wickedly, and Joffrey knew his end was nigh.
Strangely enough, though, he didn't really mind. While Joffrey would have preferred not to die, this prehistoric Jack the Ripper was somehow the most beautiful creature he had ever seen.
Wait. So you're implying Jack the Ripper was a raptor?
No, it's this prehistoric Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, I'm trying to make a joke here, and it's not working.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just like, Jack the Ripper was not the Loch Ness Monster, but in fact, he was a velociraptor. I guess you didn't see Robot Chicken.
Okay, yeah, I didn't.
I'm done.
Okay, sorry. Somehow the most beautiful creature he had ever seen, from her lustrous amber eyes to a graceful prehensile tail, all the way to her muscular thighs and smooth, curvy foot claws. Dude, it's a fucking raptor. Goddamn dinosaur. Anyway, it would be an honor to be ravaged by such a goddess.
Wait, ravaged in what way are you talking about? Because I don't think... I mean, granted, I know it's this kind of story we're reading, so it's going to end up with human raptor sex eventually. But I don't think the first thing on a raptor's mind when it sees a human is sex. I'm pretty sure it's dinner. Or maybe breakfast, depending on the time of day.
Or possibly a threat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, blissfully and with complete disregard for his mutilated ankle and gashed open head, he reached out and smiled at the creature as she reared up and opened her jaws.
By now, the activity outside the cage had reached pandemonium status. Frightened workers ran around like headless compies, trying to find a way to secure the cage and free their colleague. In a state of calm bliss, Muldoon strode over to the radio and casually informed the Jurassic Park Control Center that they were ready for the other Raptors now, even though
they would clearly have noticed there was a problem.
Yeah. And also, while they were at it, perhaps a few crates of strong alcohol and some women's clothing. Oh my god, are they serious?
Because they're totally going to take that seriously.
Are they really going to make the rappers into hooker?
They're going to fire this dude. Who actually does that? Who actually says something like that? They're going to be like, yeah, you're fired, by the way.
Unless this was the intention all along?
I sincerely doubt that Jurassic Park was supposed to be Jurassic Tots.
Was I reading or were you? I think I was reading.
It was you, yeah.
Okay. Almost trembling with anticipation, but remaining outwardly stoic nonetheless, he loosened his belt and stuck a match to light his pre-coital cigarette with.
There's no such thing as a pre-coital cigarette. It's post-coital cigarette. You have a cigarette after you have an enjoyable experience, not before.
6 damn months, I tell you. 6 damn months. Well, no. He was going to get some release. Okay. Grabbing the side of the broken cage, he hauled himself up and peeked through a gap in the roof to see how things were progressing. I think your friend is 8. I mean, I know it's this story, so he's probably fucking the dinosaur, but still.
The Velociraptor had parted her jaws and looked about to strike, but suddenly she seemed to stop as if unsure of herself. Joffrey was
I'm
confused.
sure she would have been unsure of herself and that there's a meal before her, possibly a threat.
Joffrey was confused. Why hadn't this hot Cretaceous babe mauled him?
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
The puns.
Like the filthy descendant of a wretched shrew-like thing that he was. Why was he not being lovingly absorbed by the digestive system of this perfect carrion-scented Aphrodite?
Are all these people mentally insane and crazy?
Apparently. I mean, he was hit on the head, so maybe that explains it.
I guess.
I don't know. Almost as if he dared not speculate, he glanced up at her, still expecting the final strike that would end his sexually confused mammalian existence, because this is a thing, and saw at once that it would and apparently neither would he.
It skipped you there for some reason.
And saw that it would not come. Apparently neither would he.
Wow, that really does not like you saying that, because it skipped exactly the same place.
And apparently neither would he. Do it again.
It doesn't like that sentence.
Evidently, neither would Joffrey. Did it do it again?
I didn't hear anything. Maybe I should...
Joffrey! Neither would Joffrey, neither would he. He wouldn't come, neither would Joffrey.
Yeah. And, okay, in case... Because it seems to be skipping Hushicho right there for some reason.
He said, still expecting the final strike that would end his sexually confused mammalian existence.
Yes.
And saw at once that it would not come.
See, now you can say it for some reason.
And then I said, and apparently neither would he.
Okay.
It would have been funny the first time, not like the 20th, but anyway.
See, now I understand what you're saying.
It's not funny now.
Thanks, internet
Anyway.
or computer or whatever's causing that.
It's Jenna. I know it's Jenna.
Jenna's ghost is coming after us.
God. Her eyes were still marked by a ferocious hunger, but it was not for shredded meat she seemed to slaver. Sorry, I lost my... She clearly wanted the meat intact. Oh my God. They're making these horrible double entendres. Joffrey couldn't believe his luck.
She wanted his salami.
Uh,
I'm sorry,
Slowly
I couldn't say.
She backed away from him, then coyly turned around so her bird-like hips were on full display, mere inches from his face. From this angle, he could see a smooth, hairless slit. Wait,
Well, yeah, it would be hairless.
wouldn't she have a cloaca?
I don't know anything about dinosaurs, so I can't say.
I think she would have a cloaca, but, well, whatever. As he began to drool, she started to shake her hips from side to side seductively, delicately spraying him with gallons upon gallons of dinosaur sex pheromones. Wait.
Wouldn't she just piss on him?
How do you delicately spray someone with literally gallons of sex pheromones?
I don't know.
That would be like turning over a bucket on them. Delicately. Gallons of dinosaur sex pheromones she had in some gland that all velociraptors had, but that didn't get fossilized with the rest of them because it was too soft somehow.
What?
I think maybe he's trying to claim that this is a gland that all velociraptors have, but nobody scientifically knows about it because it was too soft and it decayed, so that there's no real, scientific evidence of it now, and it's apparently crucial to his story, maybe? I don't know. Mm-hmm. Cautiously at first, lest he somehow alarm her or turn her off, Joffrey began to lightly rub the area around her velocigina.
Oh my God, stop it! Stop it!
With his chin, nuzzling the rough, pebble-like folds of skin surrounding it with his tongue. I don't think that's how it works. I'm not an expert on dinosaur bits, but the creature howled with a terrifying primordial delight and thrust herself back against Joffrey's mouth, knocking out his front teeth and ramming
This is turning into star turds.
Yeah, this is kind of turning into star turds. And ramming his lower jaw deep inside her. I don't think that's how it works either. Joffrey whispered seductively as he continued to work his magic on her with his mouth parts, delicately teasing her harsh, sandpaper-like clitoris as he did so.
Why would it be sandpaper-like?
Because this dude and velociraptors.
Okay. From his vantage point on top of the cage, Muldoon could see that things were progressing far better than he ever could have hoped for. "You there!" he shouted at the engineer again, who had returned with the equipment he had asked to retrieve. "Get up here and set that video camera up," the radio camera. "The rest of you, find some bloody tasers." I'll just keep going.
I like the word bloody a lot.
Yeah. The velociraptor continued to bellow and howl and echo her savage predatorial joy across the construction site as Joffrey brought her halfway to climax. Only halfway? Kind of douche of him. With one exaggerated movement, she threw her hips violently to one side, dislodging Joffrey's lower jaw from her deep hot minge? And hammering him against the side of the cage. Winded, he collapsed to the floor, his face a brutal-looking mess of blood, bone, flesh, dinosaur sex pheromones, and primeval vaginal juices. Ew. The velociraptor was a merciless predator, but she was not a selfish lover. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no, this is going to be horrible! Why do I have to read this crap? It was time to recuperate. Oh, this is going to be so bad. This is going to be so bad. I already know it. As Joffrey lay battered on the cage floor, barely able to move, she approached him and lightly rested her perfectly shaped foot on his crotch, because she would know to do that. Even though his even though his dislocated muscle, even through his dislocated muscle, which still doesn't really make sense, she could feel the bulge. She grinned, as all velociraptors are pretty much forced to do because of their bone structure. And with one deft flick of her curved toe claw, she tore through the lining of his pants and exposed his engorged, throbbing member.
I love that. That's pretty much all of them are forced to do.
Joffrey mumbled with ecstasy through his maimed features as the creature praised him. Because this is perfectly logical after you've, had your face ripped apart by raptor vagina.
Yeah, I can see where this would be a totally logical, reasonable response to this pinpoint specific situation.
She was mildly disappointed at the lack of insemination barbs on his manhood. I don't know if that was actually a thing with raptors, but okay.
I think the author is just pulling things out of his ass and going with it.
Probably. But she had come too far now, invested too much time, I'm sure she did, to stop the process this close to completion. Wrapping her tail around his waist. Again, I don't think raptors can really do that, but I haven't really studied them, so anyway. She pulled him to his feet and slammed herself back against his erect cock, moaning wickedly as it pushed apart the insides of her opening and entered her. Little bubbles of pleasure formed in the red-black foam on Geoffrey's mouth as she forced herself further back, taking him deeper inside her.
On top of the cage, the camera was very nearly ready. Muldoon could take no more. Whipping off his safari shorts and pulling out his very own big game.
Oh, that's so dumb, dude.
He wrapped his hands around it and began to... His hands? How big is it?
Maybe it's like Gandalf's 100-foot cock.
Oh, God. And began to rhythmically jerk off as the confused and terrified engineer pointed the camera where he was told to. I'd probably be confused and terrified as well, especially if I'm an engineer right where animal handlers are needed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Get it on tape. All on tape, he groaned as he energetically pumped his purple shotgun.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so terrible.
We just read pumped his purple shotgun. This is about equivalent to flog the dolphin and smacked the clown.
Oh, that's so bad.
Are we going to do Purple-Headed Warrior and Quivering Mound of Love Pudding? Will that be next?
He put his rooster in the love tunnel. There you go.
It was like a hot dog in a hallway.
Or a turtleneck. Remember, you have to cup it.
I have to cup it.
Is it my turn to read now?
Well, I can keep going for the next two short paragraphs, and then you can take the big one, or we can do whatever. I don't know. Yeah. The Velociraptor was grinding and bucking back against Joffrey with terrifying savagery now, and she could feel the warmth beginning to build up in her nether regions as his rod hard dick? Wouldn't that be just hard rod? Like, how hard is a rod?
Not hard enough.
Apparently. Slammed in and out of her orifice. Fervently, she rocked against the side of the cage, ignoring Joffrey's impassioned gurgling noises as she brought herself closer and closer to a meteoric climax. She doesn't seem like an unselfish lover here, because all of this is being done for her.
Yeah.
Like, she's the one who's mainly getting off here. I don't know what that deal was about, but... Keep shooting, Muldoon moaned as he prepared to do some shooting of his own. Shoot her!
Stop with the puns!
Shoot her! Shoot her!
In slow-mo!
Oh no!
Finally, the Raptor could take it no more, squealing as if she intended to drown out all the other sounds that had ever been made by anything in the history of ever.
That's pretty loud.
Yeah. Also, Dark Yagami much? She came hard and fast, her vaginal walls constricting around Joffrey, like a vice as wave after wave of putrid velociraptor loved Tabasco. What?
Love Tabasco. Love.
Putrid velociraptor loved Tabasco. So it was gross, but it was like Tabasco, and it was made out of love by velociraptors for your enjoyment.
It was lizard vagina squirts.
Squirted everywhere, dousing the floor and walls of the cave. How? How?
I love how you're just glossing past the. It was lizard vagina squirts. It was lizard vagina squirts.
I'm just like, yeah, okay. Dousing the floor and walls of the cage in a layer of horribleness half an inch thick.
That's a lot of love Tabasco.
Putrid velociraptor loved Tabasco. Yeah. Joffrey screamed in agony as his frail, warm-blooded member was crushed. Okay, I'm sure vaginal walls of a dinosaur are probably very strong. I don't think they would be that strong.
And I still think they'd have a cloaca.
By this merciless barrage, and tried desperately to pull out of her, but it was too late. In a final act of climax, she spun around again, taking him with her and cracking his spine in two.
How? How does that even work? How could she do that?
I don't know, because if she got up from him, then his dick wouldn't be in her no more. Acting on pure instinct, she sank her powerful jaws into the sides of his skull and bit down hard, ripping his head clean off and scattering flesh and blood everywhere.
What do you mean acting on pure instinct? What is she, a mantis? Well, even if she were a mantis, she'd have to rip his head off before they started sex, because male mantises can't get it up unless they're headless. But still, I mean, like, what is that? You're acting on pure instinct. My ass. Acting on pure instinct, like wiggling your bird-like hips and squirting love Tabasco everywhere.
Putrid love Tabasco.
Yes. You like that word, don't you?
No, I'm just pointing out that while it's supposed to be love Tabasco, it's putrid. He said so. As her teeth entered his brain, they triggered his pleasure and pain senses, I'm sure, sending him at once into the most disturbingly intense agony a human being can possibly experience, and bringing him to such heights of ecstasy as humankind can only dream of. Then he died.
If they can only... Then he died. But if they can only dream of it, how could he experience it anyway? And how did they just trigger his pleasure and pain senses? Also, wouldn't he kind of be insensate after... I don't know, the incredible agony of having his wiener crushed or snapping his spine in two, which would probably kill him, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. Then as she wolfed down what had once been the greater part of a young man's head, her body was racked by more uncontrollable spasms. She writhed and flopped over the cage, all movement out of her control, as the by now rallied workers fired taser shot after taser shot through the cage door, each one making contact with her and sending powerful electric shocks through her body, a sound not dissimilar to that of a former Kenyan gamekeeper ejaculating emanated from the cage roof above. Could you not just say the dick face name Muldoon jizzed? And
that's too complicated. This is much better.
Then he died. And as she spasmed on the floor, she could feel a sticky, warm liquid trickle onto her from above.
So then he started peeing on her? For some reason?
I don't know. I don't think pee is sticky, though. So maybe he just came on her somehow from above. I don't know how, because... never mind. Just... Whatever. Just...
Yeah. Oh, yes! They should all be destroyed! Muldoon groaned to himself as he shot his load through the hole in the cage roof and spanked happily out of...
Spank happily. Spank happily.
And spanked happily to his knees. Sank happily to his knees. As the workers continued to shock the velociraptor into submission, a low rumbling noise was heard. Oh, jolly good, Muldoon thought to himself. Muldoon, not Mondoon. Sounds like the others are on their way. Excitedly, he pulled his shorts back up and rallied the remaining workforce. Come on, you lot, he declared. 1 down, 7 more to go. From that day forward, working for Engine didn't seem nearly so bad.
Yeah, because all the workers waited until he was in front, then they beat him to death, threw him in the jungle, and let the raptors eat him. Because obviously...
Well, he could just fuck all the female raptors, I guess.
Well, it'd be the last thing he ever did.
Yeah. So, what did you think of that story?
You don't want to know what I thought of that story. I'm not sure it's broadcastable, actually.
Well, I would say this really is in the same vein as Star Turds.
Yeah, it was shorter. That's all I can really give it.
Yeah, nothing really new here that we've seen, except now dinosaurs are part of the equation. And really, it's pretty much Star Turds, because, you're reading something stupid, and then gross stuff, and then death.
Yeah, with
no
real logical process given to any of the characters. Not the main characters, not the supporting characters. No one acts at any given time logically. Not even the friggin' dinosaur.
Yeah, I was gonna say, not even the dinosaur really did.
Like, this is a serious problem. Like, when even the dinosaur does not act reasonably, you may have a problem with your story, especially if your story revolves around a concept that you feel the need to explain and say this is totally a real thing because, it was a soft spot, so it wasn't preserved in fossils. That may be a kind of a sign where you just need to not explain it, or where you just need to say, maybe I should rework this.
I mean, I have read some really strange stories about sex with other creatures or whatever, and while some of them might be weird and strange, they are at least coherent and believable enough that I can follow along and not call bullshit on what's going on.
Yeah, pretty much at every moment of this story, it's just like, yeah, bullshit, 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 bullshit.
Yeah, actually, I'm kind of disappointed.
Yeah, I kind of am too, honestly.
I'm just like, I expected worse, I guess. Yeah, I suffered through MIL, I suffered through Star Turds. Hawk and I read the Pokemon story, and this is kind of but I don't see how this was worse than Star Turds.
Yeah, this was definitely not worse than Star Turds. At least this was brief, like I said. It was not that long.
Yeah.
Take that long to read. It was mostly, correctly spelt and grammatically correct. Few typos, few misuses of words, a lot of puns and double entendre, which your mileage may vary, you may like or not like, but Velocidina, I believe, is my pick for possibly the best odd word in this particular story. That's one thing that I think is respectably ridiculous, is the Velocidina, and I would take that with me as a term. I don't know how I'm going to fit this into any conversation ever, but if it comes up, if there is at least the remotest possibility that I could use the word, I'm going to say Velocidina sometime.
I think the only thing I can really pull from this story is Putrid Velociraptor love Tabasco. And, that's about the only thing that's going to stick with me, other than I read a story that really wasn't all that great and actually didn't have anybody blowing up.
Yeah, it wasn't that great. It wasn't really that bad. Like, it was horrible, but it was not horrible to a level of Star Turds or My Inner Life or anything like that. It was just, it was kind of not even ambitiously bad enough to have much fun with. It's like when you watch a film and there are those so bad it's good films, but then there are those other films that they're bad, but they're not so bad it's good, they're just bad.
Yeah.
This is one of those, because like it's those sorts of films. It's hard to really even make fun of. It's hard to really chuckle with or laugh at or make any sort of smart-ass comment because they're just not bad enough for it, but they're not good enough to really enjoy. So it's just that's where this one firmly lies. I think it's not really bad enough, but it's terrible. So it's just like so bad it's bad.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, this is bad, but not worse than Star Turds, and definitely not worse than MIL. So it's just kind of there, and I feel nothing for it other than I thought instead of immediately having sex with him, I thought she was going to try and suck him off and then eat his penis or something. Is what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, I actually feared that might actually be what happened, and I was in one way I was sort of glad it didn't, but in another way I thought, it would fit in with the rest of this story because it's on that level,
Yeah, but nothing really to say here. It's the same old shtick. Fits into the Star Turds category of trap fic. Doesn't really do anything notable except for raptors and having sex with raptors, but that's about it.
Yeah, overall this isn't going to be a terribly memorable story, I don't think. It's not something that's going to stick.
Not even close. And I've been looking forward to reading this story. I've been wanting to do it for a while.
I know, but it's been...
I'm super disappointed that it was neither good nor enjoyably bad, nor rage-inducing bad.
Yeah.
It was just like, some bad stuff is going to happen, and I have to deal with it. And in the end, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but I'm not going to recommend it to anybody. I mean, I can't really... Even if I knew somebody who liked imagining having sex with dinosaurs or something...
Yeah, being horribly murdered while you have sex with a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, maybe if you're into vor, but.
Yeah, but this really wasn't even vor.
No,
I mean,
not
like,
even close.
I was kind of expecting it maybe to go that way, and like that I could sort of see.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't share the kink obviously, but like I've seen it, and in art and writing and whatnot, and I understand basically but this wasn't that either. I mean, it was simultaneously too ambitious and not ambitious enough. So it squarely lay in the bad.
Yeah. Basically, in conclusion, this story is just unrememberable.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to miss it. There's nothing to state that it was here.
Yeah.
There's really nothing gripping.
Yeah, I think
to use a word not in the context of gripping somebody's penis or clenching vaginas or whatever, but there's nothing fulfilling either. I'm not really sure what we were trying to go for, with the exception of, I guess, gross people out with mutilation.
Yeah,
and that's about it.
And I really think that it's kind of like, we've already walked away from the Topless Robot site anyway, but like the list, I think this is really the sort of the last thing that says, that list, whoever compiled that list really didn't know what they were talking about. Like, they didn't really, I don't think they really understood what they were looking at or what they were trying to do. I think they were just collecting things that they thought might surprise people or shock them or something. But
also, people have different turn-ons and turn-offs, and also different mileages in regards to good and bad stories. Yeah. I mean, we've read some really bad stuff on the show.
I think
so we might be more like unfazed than the average person might be by something like this.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know. I mean, like, maybe us from 2 years ago might have found this rage-inducing or traumatic or something, but now it's just like, it was a story and it sucked and we read it. So
I'm like, it was in the vein of Star Turds and Sweet Apple Massacre. Don't care, leaving. It was also in the vein of the Pokemon story, because that also had stuff like this. But that's really how I feel. I'm just like,
Yeah, I think that says it all.
I'm Caleb,
And I'm Hushicho.
and this has been Bad Fanfiction Theater. Thank you for listening. Bye!
To be back. Bye.